Hello juniors, welcome to this video. Remember this video is made because today we had some problems with the internet connection everywhere, either in Tanli and El Paraíso. So this video is for you so you can watch it and you can be in touch with these topics, the ones that we were supposed to be uh, watching today, but again we had this problem with internet connection. So very quickly, I will make my shirts with my screen sharing for you so we can start with the presentation that I was supposed to study with you today in order to have this class. If you have your books at home and your notebooks, you can find this topic on page 340 and page 341. It's a short topic, but it has a lot of content. Remember that the the materials that I'm using here, maybe not all of them are available in in the book. So you can take notes of some things that you may consider very useful for you. So let's begin with a short definition of a sentence because the topic has to do with sentences. So number one, we're going to define what a sentence is or what sentences are. Sentences. So here we have the first definition. And number one says that a sentence is the one that consists of one independent clause. Last week, we were studying subordinate and independent clauses. So we know what that is already. And here we have some examples that says, with a simple sentence, the prisoner escaped, or with a compound subject. Remember, compound subject is when you have two subjects or more. For example, the prisoner and his friend escaped. Or an example of a compound subject in a compound predicate or a compound verb. For example, the prisoner and his friend escaped but were let it cut. So this is just a little introduction of what this topic is about. So the four types of sentences we're going to study today are number one, declarative sentences, number two, interrogative sentences, number four, imperative sentences, and finally, exclamatory sentences. Here we have something very important. Number one, for declarative sentences, we make statements. Statement means that I'm stating something that is true. I am declaring. That's why they're declarative sentences. And here we have that they tell something and they end with a period. This is the end mark we use with declarative sentences. What about interrogative sentences? Well, they ask questions, obviously, and they end with a question mark. With imperative sentences, they give orders or commands, and sometimes they end with a period or an exclamation mark. We will see why, but later. Exclamatory sentences, they show strong feelings or emotions, and they end with an exclamation mark. I know that this is a topic that we have seen before, but today I'm going to try to explain it more specifically for you. And just in case you forget about these sentences, here we have declarative sentences and an arrow pointing out the, the dot, which is the period in this case for declarative sentences. And the second one is exclamatory sentences with exclamation mark, with interrogative sentences with a question mark, and with imperative sentences, sometimes with an exclamation mark or just a period. We'll see why, in which cases. So here we have the first definition for a sentence, and here we have declarative sentences. What's this? Okay, declarative sentences that make statements and end with a period. So as you can see here, once again, the prisoner, the one that escaped, he is stating something, and he says that he likes freedom. And the first person point of view, he says, I like freedom. And very important is that the end mark in yellow is a period. Here we have more examples of other sentences with interrogative sentences. For example, isn't this great? Or catch me if you can in the case of imperative sentences. Or I'm free with exclamatory sentences, but we'll see this later. Here we have more examples of declarative sentences. For example, the sky is blue, or I am a sixth. In your case, I'm a 10th grade student. We'll go to the movies tomorrow. He's a great reader. We have a program in the morning, or our class is having a party on Friday. These sentences, they declare or state something that is true. So all of them are declarative sentences. That's all you have to know for this kind of sentences. So let's move very quickly to the second part, which is interrogative sentences. What's this? Okay, we have already seen on the previous slide that interrogative sentences, they ask questions and they end with a question mark. And we have some examples here. Did you turn the light off? May I borrow your newspaper? What is your favorite song? Do you ride the bus? Have you ever visited New York? What's your name? Do you like pizza? Do you like hamburgers? Um, what's your favorite movie? So all of them are interrogative sentences. Sometimes we need a rising tone. You know that sometimes when you ask a question, your voice increases. For example, what's your name? So our voice goes higher. It's different from the declarative sentence where the voice goes lower. For example, I cannot say, what's your name? No, I need this in my voice to ask questions in English. What's your name? Do you like pizza? It's like with curiosity. That is very important in English. And here we have a very important, a very famous character of history that you know. And he's asking a question. And he says, what is history but a fable agreed upon? And once again, in yellow, we have the end mark. And the end mark is a question mark, obviously for interrogative sentences. And here we have more examples of declarative, imperative, and exclamatory sentences that you can read on your own. Now, this is very important. This slide is one of the most important slides that we have in this presentation. And it's the types of interrogative sentences. Number one, we have yes, no questions or yes, no interrogatives. Obviously, it's those questions that we can only answer with either yes or no. For example, are you ready to go? Yes, I am. Did you go to the game Friday night? Yes, I did. Did you like the movie last night? Yes, I did. Or no, I didn't. So we have only two options to answer these questions. On the second part, we have alternative interrogatives or alternative questions. What's this? The questions in which we have two choices to answer. For example, here we are being asked about chocolate or vanilla. So in this question, we have, would you prefer chocolate or vanilla ice cream? So you have two options. You have to respond with one. You can say, I prefer chocolate, or I prefer vanilla. Or should I call or email you? I think you should call me better. Okay. We have two options, but we only pick one to answer. Then we have WH interrogative or WH questions or information questions. They are called WH because these questions begin with WH words. What, when, where, why, who, and sometimes how. Obviously, it's different from yes no questions because in this case, we need a very specific answer. It's something that we have to respond with very specific information. For example, what are you doing? You can tell me, okay, I'm watching this YouTube video to review my class. Or which songs do you like? I like Green Day, for example, or I like the Ramones music. I don't know. We have many ways of answering these questions personally. Then we have the tag questions, and tag questions are very popular because you can use them anytime you want. They're very easy because we make a statement and we finally ask a question in the opposite form of the beginning of the statement. For example, you live in the city. As you can see in this example, it's a statement. You live in the city, comma. Now we have a question. Don't you? It's like if I want to go deeper in this question. Or for example, she's your friend, isn't she? Or he doesn't know about the class, does he? Or is he your brother? I'm sorry, he's your brother, isn't he? So as you can see, these questions, they always are written first with a declarative sentence, but they end with a tag question. It's the negative or the affirmative form of the sentence. For example, you live in the city, don't you? Don't you is negative, but you live in the city is affirmative. We need to get it going now, don't we? So these are the types of interrogative sentences you can use for your homework. Now we have imperative sentences. Imperative sentences are those sentences that give a command or an order. But we're going to use our voice in order to make it stronger or make it a mild command, for example. Here we have, Mom, please tie my shoes in this picture. Mom, please tie my shoes. I'm using here the subject, but it's separated by a comma. But we know that we are heading to the mother. So it's like, Mom, you please tie my shoes. But you know that you is the subject, but it's implicit. It's not explicit. It's implicit. Explicit means that you can read it, but implicit means that you cannot read it, but you understand it. So, for example, when the doctor is checking you out, I'm sorry, and he said, you open your mouth, but he doesn't say you. He just says, open your mouth is a command. Or when you call to the pizza and you say, please bring the pizza to the table. Or when you use the names, again, we have to use commas. Mark, do all your homework before you go out to play. Or do 10 push-ups and 20 jumping jacks. So imperative sentences are the ones that give commands or orders. But we have also other types of commands that we can ask with imperative sentences. For example, with an order. Please pay attention to this example because get out is with an exclamation mark, but this is an imperative sentence. Why? Because you can see the expression of the woman's face is like stronger. Maybe she's shouting out, get out. So that expression means that she is raising her voice. So that's why we use an exclamatory period, an exclamatory mark, exclamation mark, I'm sorry. Okay, we can also do it for requests. For example, please ask to leave the table or to give an advice. Don't eat yellow snow. If you understand this, please don't do it. Don't eat yellow snow if you understand this. Then we have instructions. Maybe when I give you an instruction in the class, for example, open your books or close your books or stand up or turn left at the junction. And 5 for warnings. For example, look out when you try to give someone a warning. Okay, the case is when we have to use exclamation marks when the command is strong, or just a period when the command is mild. Mild means it's not that strong. Okay, that means mild. Then we have other types of sentences said by history people. You can read it at home. I'm not going to read them for you, so you can review this kind of sentences: declaratives, interrogatives, imperatives, and exclamatory sentences. Then we have more for the last topic, which is exclamatory sentences. Okay, it says that we use them to express a strong feeling. It ends with an exclamation mark. They always end with an exclamation mark. When you wish someone a happy birthday, so for example, happy birthday, Tom. Listen to my voice. Happy birthday, Tom. Like happy birthday, Tom. No, the expression in this case is like happiness or joy because I'm glad that my friend, who's Tom, is in his birthday. So I'm raising my voice again. Or in this case with the fighters, they have hurt each other. So ouch, that hurt. You know, it's an expression for pain. Or when you express something that you really like. Banana splits are the best desserts, okay? Or when you admire something. What a beautiful rose. I'm going to make a pause with this example here with the one with the rose because in the next slide, I'm going to show you how to make exclamatory sentences. And we have a structure, especially when we start with what or how. Listen, with what, I have to use after the word what, obviously, a noun phrase, then a pronoun, and finally the verb. Most of the time, the verb to be. And obviously the exclamation mark. So you can see it here in this chart. But maybe you are wondering what a noun phrase is. It's very easy. A noun phrase is composed by 3 elements. The definite article, a or an, an adjective, and a noun. That's why it's a noun phrase. Because remember, I'm always using a or an, which is the indefinite article, bright, which is the adjective, and student, which is a noun. A bright student. This is a noun phrase. Or a pleasant day, or a wonderful writer, or a red juice apple. So if I'm going to use this sentence, I'm going to say, what a bright student she is, or what a pleasant day it is, or what a wonderful writer you are, or what a red juicy apple he has. So we are expressing like some kind of surprise. On the other hand, we have how, and with how, we're not going to use noun phrases. We're going to use adjectives and the pronouns, the verb, and the exclamation mark. For example, how pretty she is. See? Now we're just using the adjective, but here we're using the adjective and the noun to make a noun phrase. Number two, how determined he is, or how generous you are, or how lonely he is. So all of these are forms to make other kind of exclamatory sentences. Let's continue with more examples. Here we have, what a beautiful day, or an expression like, I'm angry, or you did a great job, or I love the color of the room, or you won the prize, or that is a huge whale. Wow, we have to express the emotions. So we have more to express joy. I'm free. Remember the prisoner at the beginning. Okay, he is stating he's free, but with joy. So that's why we're using exclamation mark. I'm free, or she actually won. We're expressing surprise, or I treasure you. Okay, this is express love, or you are late again to express anger. So these are some examples here. Let's continue with more examples for urgency, for emotions, for feelings. So you can read them at home. Okay. Now, on the following pages, which are pages 343 and until 348, we're going to be in touch with these topics. Listen, now we're going to be combining sentences. We have already used types of sentences and clauses. Now we have compound subjects, compound verbs, and compound objects. Listen, it's very easy. We have examples of compound subjects. We have, for example, Joe enjoyed seeing the trains, or Martha enjoyed seeing the trains. Now I can combine these two sentences in one. I just have to combine Joe and Martha. And what is the result? Joe and Martha enjoyed seeing the trains. So Joe and Martha is the compound subject. Now we have the compound verbs. It's the same. Listen, in this sentence, I have that Mike bought the guitar and Mike cleaned the guitar. So I have to combine the verbs in one sentence. I can say Mike bought and cleaned the guitar. So the verbs here are joined by this conjunction, which is and. So bought and clean is an example of a compound verb. Finally, we have the example of compound objects. Remember, the object is the final part of the sentence. The teacher received the assignment. The teacher received the test. Combined, we have the teacher received the assignment and the test. And this is an example of compound objects. Okay, this is the easiest part of the topic. But now we have combining sentences with independent clauses. We have already seen what clauses, subordinate and independent clauses are. So now we have sentences can be combined by using two independent clauses. Remember that. It's like compound sentences we saw last week. Remember that they can be joined by conjunctions like and, but, or, yet, so, and so on, with a comma or with a colon or semicolon. For example, we have the sentence, the lion waited patiently, period. Its prey kept moving closer. So I need a conjunction to join these two sentences, erasing the period and not using the capitalization on the word it. So what should I do? The following. Here we have the lion waited patiently, saw its prey kept moving closer. Now it's a full sentence, but it's a compound sentence divided by this conjunction, which is in green, and it's so. Remember, the function of the conjunction is to join two independent clauses. Okay, so try not to forget this. Okay. Okay, let's continue then with combining sentences with subordinate clauses. Remember, subordinate clauses mean that they need another clause which is independent to make sense by themselves. So here we have that we can combine sentences by changing one of the sentences into a subordinate clause to create a complex sentence. Remember, a complex sentence is one independent clause and one or more subordinate clauses. For example, we were frightened, period. We thought the lion we saw on safari was hungry. So I can use the second sentence, we thought the lion we saw on safari was hungry, using a subordinate conjunction, which is because. Remember, we have already seen this. So now the second sentence became an a subordinate clause because we thought the lion we saw on safari was hungry is one subordinate clause. We were frightened is one independent clause. So now it's a complex sentence. So the only thing I did is to change the second sentence into a subordinate clause. Now we have combining sentences with phrases. Remember, we have many types of phrases. For example, we have prepositional phrases. It's the combination of a preposition and a noun, or the object of the preposition. For example, in the morning, at noon, after classes, before dusk. For example, after classes, we went to see the movie. So now I'm using a phrase, in this case, it's a prepositional phrase. After the preposition, classes is the object of the preposition. Appositive phrases, remember that positive or appositive phrases are the ones that identify the subject in one sentence. For example, the inventor of the light bulb or the only undefeated team. For example, Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, this is the appositive phrase, is considered the best inventor of his time. Or with participle phrases. Remember, we have already seen participle phrases. We can have present or past participle phrases. For example, hidden in the park is an example of a past participle because hidden is the past participle of hide. Speaking aloud, speaking is the present participle. Hurt is the past participle of hurt. So here are participle phrases. We can use them at the beginning of sentences or at the end of sentences. For example, hidden in the grass, the cat waited for his prey. Now we have this practice. So maybe in the class you would have participated, but maybe you are thinking that on the first sentence combined by adding a conjunction to create a compound sentence, we didn't like the movie, we left before it ended, you would have used the following conjunction. For example, we didn't like the movie, so we left before it ended. Or to combine the sentences by changing one of them into a subordinate clause. For example, there are 8 species of tigers, period. 3 of them are already extinct. So the second sentence is changed into a subordinate clause. For example, there are 8 species of tigers, although 3 of them are already extinct. Or in this case, to add a prepositional phrase to the sentence, the people started to feel tired. So we can use after 3 hours, the people started to feel tired. Let's imagine a concert. 3 hours standing in a place uh, it's crowded. Maybe it's something tiring. So we have here that after 3 hours, the people started to feel tired. Now we have adding appositive phrases. William Shakespeare wrote many other plays. Remember that appositive phrase is going to describe the subject. In this sentence, the subject is William Shakespeare. So I can say that William Shakespeare, the author of Romeo and Juliet, wrote many other plays. And here, the action of the appositive is backwards, is identifying the subject. And then we have add a participle phrase to the sentence. The mouse ran through the living room. I can use a present participle or a past participle phrase. In this, I'm going to use both. So I can say frightened by the cat, comma, the mouse ran through the living room. Or jumping on the garden, the mouse ran through the living room. So the first one, frightened by the cat, is a past participle and jumping is a present participle. Okay, so this is today's topic. I'm going to make another video for literature just in case you need it. You will let me know in the group of WhatsApp we have in common. So I just hope you can write me if you want me to make another video. Otherwise, you can just answer the questions about the poems. Okay. So I'll see you next week. Bye.